Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Or should I say, maestros and would-be musicians, welcome. My name is Michael Reason, well, you've already been told that, and I've been a professional orchestra conductor for most of my working life. I'm currently the artistic director for the Lake Chapala Orchestra, which I helped found some 7 years ago. The orchestra is now 80% professional, and we give about 8 concerts per year. So to start, how did I get into conducting? I'm just going to adjust this a little bit. Is that better? Can you hear me? Yeah. I was 10 years old when my father took me to the Royal Festival Hall in London for my very first live concert. From the moment the orchestra played, I was transfixed. And I was particularly transfixed by the person at the front of the orchestra waving a white stick. He sliced the air with his baton, and all 17 musicians played as one, producing the most amazing sound a 10-year-old had ever heard. My entire body was hooked. From that moment on, all I ever wanted to do was learn about music and become the guy with the magic white stick. My enthusiasm was boundless, but my father was, however, quite pragmatic. He advised me to learn the piano, noting that most conductors would know how to play it, and in addition, learn the violin. His rationale for studying the violin was that to really understand what a conductor does, I needed to observe from within the orchestra. Now, as you know, there are lots, and I mean lots of violins in the orchestra. So, even if you are not the standard of Yehudi Menuhin, you could still play at the very back of the second violin. Safety in numbers is very important, son, my father was keen to point out. And his advice was spot on. As a teenager, I played in youth orchestras and community orchestras, watching and learning from the man with the magic wand. At the ripe old age of 17, I was appointed conductor of the Woking Symphony Orchestra, an amateur ensemble based some 30 miles south of London. From there, my conducting career took off. And since 1973, I have conducted hundreds of concerts in the UK, Canada, and around the world. So when people find out that I am a conductor, they often ask me, so why does an orchestra need a conductor? And what exactly do you do? Well, this is not an unreasonable question. You go to a concert, you see this person standing at the front, waving their arms, sometimes quite dramatically. And you think, what exactly are they doing up there? Are they just showing off? Are they trying to swat a fly? Is it just a very elaborate dance routine? Listen to this comment by the great British conductor, Sir Simon Rattle, as he encapsulates the role of the conductor.
On the face of it, it's one of the great fake professions. Because there are all these musicians, and there is this, hopefully, silent person in front of them. As a student in the academy, Maurice Miles had 10 of us in the conducting class altogether. And one day he said, now what you're going to do is go in front of the orchestra. All 10 of you are going to play the opening bars of the same piece, you're not going to say anything. You're just going to stand there and conduct it. And this was a student orchestra, and with very inexperienced student conductors. And the first thing that we all noticed is the orchestra sounded entirely different with every person in front of them. Now, how does this happen? I mean, we know it happens with instruments. We know every singer has a different voice, but every conductor makes a difference.
Now, interestingly enough, Sir Simon mentioned the conductor. Can you hear? Yes. I can't. He mentioned his conducting teacher, Maurice Miles, who was the one that put them all in front of the orchestra. I was actually taught by Maurice Miles, but Sir Simon was 2 years ahead of me, so there's a little connection there. I think Sir Simon Rattle is perhaps one of the greatest living conductors at this present time. Anyway, another famous British conductor, Sir Thomas Beecham, once quipped, "There are 2 golden rules for an orchestra. Start together and finish together. And the public doesn't give a damn what comes in between." And while he said it with his usual wit, I'm here to tell you today that the conductor is doing a lot more than just making sure everyone begins and ends at the same time. They are, in fact, absolutely indispensable. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this very mysterious role. We'll explore why an orchestra can't just play on its own, a quick trip through history to see how the conductor came to be, the many, many hats a conductor wears, and maybe, just maybe, we'll even all try a little conducting ourselves. So let's have a quick look at what the orchestra is. The orchestra has been a facet of society, of artistic society from the 17th century. Through the centuries, it has grown from a rather small group of mainly string players to today's modern orchestra, which includes wind and brass instruments, a harp, and a whole range of percussion instruments. In many ways, an orchestra is like a business or company. Now have a look at the handout sheet, where on one, not the side with the music on it, but the other side, and you'll see, and I'm sure you all know, that in a company, there inevitably will be several different departments, and each department will have a manager. The manager's job is to make sure his or her team fulfills the aims of the company in contributing to the end product, like, for example, producing a chair or an electric fan. Each department has to interact together to ensure the product is successfully produced. The ultimate responsibility lies with the chief executive officer or president. An orchestra can be equated in exactly the same way. As you'll see, there are basically 4 major departments in an orchestra: the strings, the woodwinds, the brass, and the percussion. In each of these departments, there are subsections. In the case of the strings, there are violins, 2 sets of violins actually, violas, cellos, and basses. The winds have flutes, oboes, clarinets, and bassoons, and the brass have horns, trumpets, trombones, and tuba. Now, each of these subsections has a manager called the principal flute or principal clarinet, and each string section also has a manager or principal. Each principal player is responsible for the musical output of its section and ensuring it is working towards the greater good of the product, which in this case is the music. Overseeing all of this is the conductor, who is essentially the chief executive officer. So let's start with the obvious question. Why can't 80 or 100 highly trained musicians just play? They all have a sheet music, right? They've practiced. They're all professionals. Think of the orchestra not as a collection of individual artists, but as a single, incredibly complex machine, or if you prefer, a very large, very opinionated team. All right, we're going to try something. I want everyone here, without looking at anyone else, to clap your hands 3 times perfectly in synchronization. Are you ready? Go! Oh dear. So, even with just few of us, getting perfectly in synchronization is tough. Now imagine 80 people, 80 instrumentalists, each playing a different part at different speeds with different volumes, all trying to create one cohesive sound. What we want to achieve is this. Well, what we would get is something akin to a rapid-fire machine gun. Without a conductor, an orchestra would be like a football team without a coach, a ship without a captain, and a very large, very expensive traffic jam. You'd have musicians speeding up, slowing down, playing too loud, missing their entrances. It would be less like beautiful music and more like a very enthusiastic but ultimately messy noise. As Oscar Levant, the pianist in Wit, put it, an orchestra is a place where a soloist can be heard practicing. Without a conductor, it would be a place where everyone is practicing all at once and not necessarily together. So when did this waving arms at the front thing start? Well, it's not as old as you might think. In the early days of orchestral music, say the 17th and early 18th centuries, there wasn't a dedicated conductor. The orchestra was much smaller, and the leader was often the person playing the harpsichord. They played the harmonic foundation and nod their head or give cues from the instrument. Or indeed, the concertmaster, who is the first violinist, the principal player of the violins. They'd lead with their bow, stomping a foot, or even just a strong head nod. In point of fact, the practice of banging a staff on the floor was common practice to keep the ensemble together. Lovely, isn't it? There were, however, deadly consequences to this practice. The French composer Jean-Baptiste Lully, in the 17th century, famously used a large cane to beat time. Unfortunately, during one performance, he accidentally stabbed himself in the foot, leading to gangrene and his untimely demise. This rather dramatic incident underscored the necessity for less percussive and potentially lethal approaches to conducting. By the 19th century, with composers like Beethoven, Berlioz and Wagner writing incredibly demanding and expansive works, the need for a single, visible an authoritative leader became very clear. Felix Mendelssohn is often credited with being one of the first true modern conductors, using a baton and facing the orchestra, shaping the sound rather than just keeping time. The conductor was evolving from a timekeeper to an interpreter, a leader, and a visionary. Now that was the last couple of minutes of the last movement of Mahler's Fifth Symphony. There were about 100 musicians playing on that recording. Just imagine keeping them all together with all that stuff that's going on with just two hands. Now, as an aside, I should point out that even using a baton can have serious mishaps. I have managed to stab my left hand on 2 occasions whilst conducting with my right hand, and on one occasion my baton flew through the air behind my back towards the audience like a deadly missile. Fortunately, it was a dud and failed to strike a target. The other thing a conductor must be very conscious of is to make sure that the clothes he or she wears in concert are loose-fitting. Many years ago, when I was conducting a concert, we were performing the Fourth Symphony by Brahms. I was much more rotund in those days, mainly through my love of good British beer. In the middle of the first movement of the Brahms, about 7 minutes into the 40-minute work, I raised my arms for a massive downbeat, and as I did, I realised that my tails had split right down the middle. The audience gasped, and for the remaining 35 minutes, my tails were flapping through the air like a bird in flight. The orchestra couldn't see what had happened, but when I turned around to take a bow, the clothing malfunction was on full display to them. To make it worse, the local newspaper had a review of the concert that had the headline, "Ripping Concert." And I've still got that review. So as I said earlier, the conductor has many hats, often simultaneously. And this is where the magic really happens. First of all, and I want you to put the handout, the other side of it, the music. So first of all, you have to be able to read up to 24 lines of music at once. The handout is the first page of the score for the last movement of Beethoven's Seventh Symphony. This isn't on the page now, we've got it on now. So then, after reading all the instrument lines, you can become the interpreter or the storyteller. The sheet music is just a blueprint. It tells you what notes to play, how loud, and how fast. But it doesn't tell you how to feel it. It doesn't tell you the emotional arc the story the composer wanted to tell. If I hum a simple melody like Twinkle, Twinkle Little Star, but I hum it very, very slowly and sadly, how does it change the feeling? Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Does it sound melancholy, or would you agree with me? What if I hum it and sing it super fast and excitedly? Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Well, that's kind of, let's get up and dance. Would you agree? So the conductor's job is to delve into the composer's mind, understand their intentions, and then communicate that vision to the orchestra or choir. They decide if this passage is triumphant or melancholic or playful. They bring the music to life. Now the conductor is also the timekeeper and traffic cop. Yes, they keep time. That's the most obvious part. But they also cue entrances. Imagine 100 people waiting for the exact moment to come in without a clear signal. The conductor manages the tempo changes, the accelerandos, which means getting faster, and the ritardandos, which means slowing down. They are the ultimate traffic controller for sound. To illustrate the conductor's role in synchronization and shaping, let us engage in a simple exercise. I'm going to clap a simple rhythm, and I want everyone to clap along with me, so I'm going to clap it first. Now, wait. You are not very good orchestral musicians. You have to wait until I give you a cue. So, I'm going to count 4, all right, and we're going to clap that rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow! Now, imagine trying to keep that perfectly together with 100 people without a clear leader. It would be tricky. Now, I'm going to teach you a very basic 4/4, what we call a 4/4 conducting pattern. 4/4 means there are 4 equal beats in a bar. Music is divided into bars. So 4/4 is perhaps the most basic one. And I'm going to teach you the pattern. It's like this. Down, left, right, up. Down, left, right, up. So, after 4, I want you to do that. Get your arms ready. 3, go. Down, left, right, up. Some of you are not quite sure which is left or right. Right, let me do it once more. Down, left to the gazebo. Right, let's try that once more. Arms at the ready. And down, left, right, again. Down, left, right, again. Down, left, right, up. Okay. You're going to do that with me as I sing a simple tune that I'm just going to make up. Okay? So, after 4, you're going to do that beat, and I'm going to sing according to your direction. 1, 2, 3, 4. Da 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 dee, da 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 dun dun dun. Good, excellent. Now, imagine doing that for 2 hours. That's what we do. But you see how that clear gesture helps everyone know exactly where the beat is and when to come in. The most important beat of all is the downbeat. down. Even if you're doing 4, even if you're doing 3, which is 1, 2, 3, everybody in the orchestra needs to know where the downbeat is. Isn't that right, Joyce? Yeah. Okay, so who would like to come up here and be maestro for a moment? Conducting all these eager performers. Come on, somebody. There you go. Welcome, sir. And your name is?
Harold.
Harold. Here's Harold. Here's your conductor. Give me a round of applause. Okay, Harold, this is your baton. Okay? So you remember the 4-4? Okay? Down, don't do that. Right. Down, left, right, up. Down, left, right, up. Okay, very good. We're going to split the audience in half. All right down the middle here. You guys, when Harold starts beating and he's going to give you a cue, all right, you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 with his beat. Okay? You guys are going to do this beat. Da, 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 da. And you keep on doing it with his beat. All right? But you only start when he tells you to, which is he's going to point to you. And I'll help you. All right? So the best thing to do is to sort of do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then shout go. All right? Are you ready?
Shout go.
1, 2, ready, go.
Good. All right. Let's just stop there for a now. You're going to use this hand now, right, to give them a cue when to come in, and it's always on the downbeat. All right. So don't do this. All right, because you'll forget. All right. Okay. Once more. All right, good. Oh, I'm getting there. Some of you weren't ready. Right, we heard the machine gun effect. All right, take notice. All right, and you get ready. Even when they're starting, you've got to be ready to play. Let's do it one more time, Harold. Cue. Stop. Look, Harold, when he brings you up. Some of them need to get new glasses. Harold, thank you very much. And this battle is yours to do. You can now be an armchair conductor. So that's the conductor's magic in action. But of course, there's a lot more than waving arms and cueing people when to come in. Psychology plays an important role in conducting. As I said earlier, an orchestra is a collection of highly skilled individuals, each with their own personality and sometimes their own ego. The conductor needs to inspire, encourage, and sometimes gently correct. He or she must build total team cohesion. As the great conductor Otto Klemperer once said, "The conductor is the only man who can make the orchestra play as if they were one man," though perhaps today we'd say one entity. The conductor is also a sound sculptor. This is subtle but crucial. A conductor balances the sound. Are the violins too loud compared to the cellos? Is the flute melody getting lost behind the brass? They shape the overall sound, ensuring that every section is heard when it needs to be and blends when it should. They are like a chef adjusting the spices in a complex dish. What you see at the concert, however, is just the tip of the iceberg. The real work happens in rehearsals. Hours and hours of score study, understanding every note and every nuance. Then the rehearsal happens, refining, correcting, inspiring, until the orchestra can perform the piece as a unified whole. So the next time you see a conductor on stage, remember, they are not just waving a stick. They are the interpreter of the composer's deepest thoughts, the unifier of dozens of individual musicians into a single breathing entity, the guide who navigates the complex landscape of a musical score, the architect of the sound shaping dynamics and balance, and ultimately the catalyst who transforms ink on paper into a living, breathing, and often profoundly moving experience for us, the audience. Without them, the symphony orchestra as we know it simply wouldn't exist. It would be a beautiful, chaotic mess. They are the silent heroes, the unseen force that brings the music to life. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being a great audience and participating in the exercises.